The galaxy had known peace for centuries, but it was a peace built on fear. The Varan Dominion, a massive alien empire, controlled hundreds of star systems. They ruled with strict laws, rigid hierarchies, and advanced fleets that no other species dared to challenge. Their rule was absolute, and any rebellion was crushed swiftly. No one dared defy them. No one except the humans, a species that had long been underestimated and observed quietly from afar. For decades, Earth had lived in relative isolation, quietly advancing its technology and space travel capabilities. While other civilizations built empires, humanity had focused on science, exploration, and ingenuity. They had learned to unite in ways many alien races could not understand. The humans' boldness was slow to be recognized, but now the galaxy was about to see it for the first time. Deep in the uncharted void beyond known star systems, a strange signal appeared. It was faint at first, a whisper on the vast communication networks that stretched across space. Scholars and scientists of different civilizations detected it almost simultaneously, puzzled by its origin. The message was simple and unmistakably human. We come in peace, but we do not kneel. No one knew where it came from. No one had ever heard a human voice in the deep reaches of space before. And then in an instant the source became clear. A massive warship appeared through a shimmering wormhole, moving with a grace that belied its size. Its hull was black as the void, reflecting no light, and its engines glowed with a color no one had ever seen, a deep, radiant violet that seemed almost alive. The ship's name, boldly displayed along its side, sent shockwaves across the galaxy. UHS Titan. The news spread quickly. Minor races whispered the name in fear, curiosity, and hope. The Varan Dominion could hardly believe what they were seeing. They had expected a small, primitive species, not a warship that could rival their own fleets. The Titan was enormous, larger than any vessel in their records. Its weapon systems were unlike anything known, and its shields flickered with an energy signature that confused even the most advanced scanners. On board the Titan, Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the displays with calm determination. She was a woman in her late 30s with sharp features and a mind that could calculate probabilities faster than most of her crew. She had trained for this moment her entire life, the day humanity would step into the galaxy and make its presence known. "Report," she said, her voice steady, almost serene, as though she already knew what the response would be. Her first officer, Lieutenant Rian Kor, turned from his console. "The Varan fleets are responding, Captain. They're approaching fast. They're clearly confused, and they're trying to communicate." Ilara nodded. "Let them talk. Let them see who we are." Across the galaxy, Varan commanders scrambled. They were used to dealing with small, fragmented civilizations, species that would beg for mercy or submit quietly under the Dominion's control. But this was something different. The humans did not act afraid. They did not even issue a formal introduction. They appeared as equals, as a force to be reckoned with. The Varan sent a message through their usual channels, their voices cold and commanding. "Primitive species, identify yourself and submit to the Dominion immediately. Resistance will be destroyed." Captain Alara read the message carefully. She paused for a moment, then typed a reply that would echo across the galaxy. "Humanity stands ready to trade, learn, or fight. Your choice." The message was broadcast on all frequencies. Every system that could receive it, from the richest planets to the smallest outposts, heard it within minutes. For the first time, alien races that had lived under the shadow of the Varan Dominion felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps the stories were true. Perhaps humans were not just a small, insignificant species. Perhaps they were something more. On board the Titan, the crew worked in perfect coordination. Each officer knew their role. Each system operated at peak efficiency. Unlike the Varan fleets, which relied on overwhelming numbers and rigid tactics, humanity's approach was flexible and precise. Every action was calculated, but there was also an unpredictability to it that made humans dangerous, even more dangerous than the Varan realized. As the first Varan ships approached, the humans did not fire. Instead, they demonstrated their capabilities. Their shields absorbed every energy pulse the aliens sent. Their sensors predicted enemy maneuvers, and their engines allowed them to move in ways that seemed impossible. The Titan did not need to strike first. Its presence alone was a statement. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, enslaved species watched in secret. They had endured centuries of oppression, working for the Dominion under harsh conditions. Now they saw something they had only dreamed of, a force capable of standing up to the Varen, a force that did not bend or break. Whispers spread from one world to another. The humans have arrived. The Varen were not pleased. Emperor Kale Voran, the supreme ruler of the Dominion, observed the situation from his throne world. He was a towering figure, adorned in ceremonial armor, his eyes glowing faintly with bio-enhanced technology. Rage flared in his chest as he realized that this human species could not be intimidated with words or numbers alone. "Destroy it," he commanded, his voice echoing through the hall. "Leave nothing. Let the galaxy see that defiance ends in annihilation." But even as his fleets prepared to engage, doubt crept into the hearts of his commanders. No one had ever seen a single ship withstand the Varen's initial strike, let alone broadcast a message that shook the Dominion's influence. Some whispered that these humans were not to be underestimated. Some even feared what might happen if the humans turned their eyes toward the Dominion's home systems. On the bridge of the Titan, Ilara Voss remained calm. She understood the risk, but she also knew the importance of this moment. Humanity's first appearance in the galaxy would set the tone for all that followed. They had a choice: to be feared, to be respected, or to be ignored. She intended for none of those options to go poorly. "Prepare all communication arrays," she ordered. "I want every fleet, every planet, every system to hear us clearly. Humanity has arrived, and we will not kneel." The crew moved swiftly, their movements coordinated as if they were one mind. Engineers adjusted the engines for maximum efficiency, weapon systems entered standby mode, and the navigation team calculated potential escape vectors in case of extreme emergency. But no one doubted their capabilities. They had trained for this moment. They had prepared for centuries, even before leaving Earth. Outside the Titan, space itself seemed to respond. The stars shimmered against the ship's hull, reflecting off its black armor. The distant planets watched silently, as if the universe itself waited to see what would happen next. The first contact was only the beginning. Humanity's entry into galactic politics, warfare, and diplomacy would reshape the universe. But for now, the humans had made their statement. They had arrived unbowed, unbroken, and unafraid, and in the quiet of the void, far beyond the reach of any Dominion fleet, one thought echoed through the minds of those who watched. Perhaps the galaxy has underestimated humans for too long. The galaxy would soon learn that underestimating humanity was the gravest mistake any species could make. The galaxy had heard humanity's declaration. Across star systems, in grand halls and shadowed alleys, beings of all shapes and sizes spoke in hushed tones about the UHS Titan. The humans were no longer whispers in history books. They were here, alive and unafraid. But the Varen Dominion did not respond with curiosity. They responded with fleets. Hundreds of ships, sleek and angular, emerged from faster-than-light corridors, converging on the Titan. Each vessel was armed with weapons that could destroy entire planets, and each bore the insignia of the Varen Empire, a mark of absolute authority. On the bridge of the Titan, Captain Ilara Voss studied the approaching armada. The crew had trained for high-stress situations, yet the sheer scale of the fleet made their hearts race. But fear was not an option. Humanity could not afford hesitation. "Status report," Ilara commanded. Her voice was calm, a steady anchor in the rising tension. Lieutenant Ryan Core tapped rapidly on his console. "Captain, the Varen are attempting long-range scans. They're trying to identify our weaknesses. So far, they're baffled. Our shields are absorbing their energy pulses without noticeable wear." Ilara nodded. "Good, keep monitoring. I want every system at peak efficiency. We don't know what they're capable of yet." The Varen sent a communication, their words dripping with condescension. "Primitive humans, your existence is an insult. Surrender immediately, and perhaps your species may continue to live." Ilara tilted her head slightly as if considering the statement. Then she typed a reply that would be transmitted across the Varen channels. "Humanity does not kneel. We will defend ourselves, our allies, and every world that seeks freedom. Stand down or face the consequences." The words echoed across the void, clear and unwavering. On board the Titan, a low hum of approval ran through the crew. This was the moment they had trained for. not just to survive but to show that humanity could not be underestimated. From the Varen perspective, confusion spread. Admiral Keleth Ron, commander of the incoming fleet, stared at the communication screen in disbelief. He had fought countless wars, crushed countless rebellions, and ruled over conquered species with an iron fist. Yet here was a single human warship, standing its ground against hundreds of his ships. How could one vessel withstand even a fraction of his fleet's power? The first skirmish was inevitable. The Varen fired a barrage of energy pulses at the Titan, testing its shields. To their astonishment, the pulses bounced harmlessly off the ship's deflector fields, dissipating into space like harmless sparks. "Shields holding at maximum capacity," reported Lieutenant Kor. "No damage detected." Ilara's eyes narrowed. "Good. They will learn quickly that humanity is not fragile. Prepare for close-range maneuvers if necessary, but do not fire unless fired upon. Let them make the first mistake." The Varen, unused to patience, grew frustrated. Their attacks became more aggressive, more chaotic, yet the Titan moved with precision. Its engines allowed sudden shifts in velocity, evasive maneuvers, and unpredictable patterns that defied Varen calculations. One by one, their shots missed or were absorbed. Across the galaxy, enslaved and oppressed races watched secretly. This single human ship was defying the most feared empire in the known galaxy. Whispers turned to murmurs, and murmurs turned to hope. Perhaps freedom was possible. Perhaps the humans were the spark the galaxy had long awaited. Back on the Titan, the first human tactical strike was executed, but it was not an act of destruction. Instead, it was a warning. Using a precision energy pulse, a small asteroid was nudged into the path of the Varen fleet, forcing several of their ships to retreat to avoid collision. It was not lethal, but it sent a clear message. Humans were resourceful, intelligent, and unafraid to use creativity as a weapon. Ilara walked slowly along the bridge, observing her crew. Each officer was focused, their eyes reflecting the glow of the displays. Engineers monitored the shields, communications teams tracked Varen positions, and navigators calculated hundreds of maneuvers simultaneously. Every crew member knew the stakes. The galaxy's first impression of humanity rested on their shoulders. Suddenly, the communications console beeped urgently. Lieutenant Kor looked up, tension in his face. "Captain, the Varen are broadcasting a warning to all nearby systems. They're calling us a threat and demanding immediate surrender. They've also activated their long-range weapons, planetary-level weapons targeting every moon and planet near their fleet." Ilara's jaw tightened. "They underestimate us. Initiate defensive protocols and prepare for countermeasures. Humanity does not hide and we do not flee." The next moments were tense and chaotic. The Titan moved in elegant arcs, dodging massive energy blasts while the Varen fleet attempted to surround it. The humans were outnumbered, outgunned, and yet unbroken. Each maneuver demonstrated intelligence, creativity, and courage, qualities the Varen had never seen in a species they considered primitive. Then, as if to make a statement, the Titan opened a broad transmission to every species listening across the galaxy. Ilara's voice, calm yet commanding, echoed through the void. "To all who hear this message, humanity arrives not as conquerors but as allies. We do not bow to tyranny. We do not fear challenges. We stand for freedom, for knowledge, and for the right of every being to live without oppression. Watch us, learn from us, and remember, we will defend what is just." The message resonated across star systems. Some races cheered in secret, others trembled at the humans' confidence. Even the Varen commanders could not ignore the impact. For the first time, a species challenged their supremacy with both might and principle. In response, Admiral Keleth Ron ordered a concentrated strike, aiming to cripple the Titan. The humans anticipated this. Using a combination of evasive maneuvers and shield modulation, the ship absorbed and deflected the attack. One by one, enemy ships were forced to retreat, their energy weapons drained or damaged. For the humans, it was a test of endurance and strategy. For the galaxy, it was a revelation. One species, united and determined, had proven that courage, intelligence, and ingenuity could stand against an empire. Yet victory was not complete. The Varen dominion was vast and their fleets countless. The Titan alone could not topple an empire, and Ilara knew this. But their demonstration had changed the rules of engagement. Humanity had announced itself not just as a participant in the galaxy, but as a force capable of shaping its future. As the battle slowed, Ilara gathered her senior officers. "We've made an impression," she said, "but the Varen will not stop. They will adapt and they will try again. Our goal is not just survival, it is to inspire. The galaxy is watching and they must know that freedom has a champion." Lieutenant Kor nodded. "They will remember this day, Captain. Every species within range knows we are here." Ilara looked out at the stars, the void filled with distant lights of worlds yet to be contacted. "Good, let them remember. Let them see that humanity does not bend. We do not yield. And we do not forget." In the quiet aftermath, the Titan drifted, repairs underway, systems running at reduced power. Across the galaxy, messages of hope and curiosity began to circulate. Minor species that had never dared dream of rebellion whispered of the humans, the ones who had faced the Varen and stood unbroken. For Ilara and her crew, the first encounter was only the beginning. The galaxy had witnessed the arrival of a species that refused to be controlled. The Varen Dominion had felt the sting of defiance, and for the first time, the oppressed and the fearful dared to hope. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The stars around Varen Prime burned like a warning beacon. From orbit, the planet appeared calm, a jewel of blue and green. Yet above it, war swirled. The Varen Dominion had responded to the Titan's arrival with overwhelming force. Hundreds of their ships patrolled the upper atmosphere, their weapons primed and ready. For centuries, no invader had dared to challenge the Dominion in such a bold manner. Now, one human warship had done so, and it had survived the first encounter. On board the UHS Titan, Captain Ilara Voss stood in the command center, her gaze sweeping across the viewports. The Varen fleet gleamed in the void, massive and terrifying. Yet she saw not just threat but opportunity. Humanity's strength lay not only in weapons but in courage, creativity, and unity. "Report," she said to her first officer, Lieutenant Rian Kor, his hands flying across the tactical display. "They've divided into 3 squadrons, Captain. Each group is trying to surround us from different angles. Their weapons have increased in intensity. Shields are holding, but energy reserves are dropping faster than expected." Ilara nodded, her mind working rapidly. "We can't fight them all at once. We'll draw them into a funnel near the planet's equator. Smaller numbers will allow us to counter efficiently. Prepare the pulse cannons and activate the decoy drones. Let's see if they can match human tactics." The crew moved with precision. Engineers hummed with the rhythm of machinery. Technicians ran system checks at lightning speed, and navigators adjusted the Titan's trajectory for maximum strategic advantage. The humans did not panic. They thrived in moments of crisis. As the first Varen squadron approached, their weapons flared. Massive beams of energy tore across the void toward the Titan, which moved gracefully to avoid them. Yet, unlike in previous encounters, the humans were ready. Decoy drones. Small, but fast ships packed with reflective surfaces, scattered into the firing line. Energy beams bounced off them, striking Varen ships and causing confusion in their ranks. "Admiral Ron will not like this," Lieutenant Kor muttered. "His fleet is being disrupted." Ilara's lips curved into a faint smile. "Good. Confusion is the first step toward victory." The humans launched their first attack, but it was not one of destruction. Using precision kinetic pulses, they nudged a series of asteroids toward the Varen ships, forcing evasive maneuvers. Each movement was calculated. Each asteroid carefully aimed to disrupt formations without causing planetary damage. The Varen faltered, giving the Titan a tactical edge. Then, the humans struck. Their railguns fired tungsten slugs at near-light speed, punching through enemy shields with shocking accuracy. A single Varen cruiser, larger than most human vessels, was shredded in seconds. Alarms blared across the Dominion fleet. For the first time, the Varen realized they were facing not just technology, but ingenuity, a mind that anticipated every move. The battle intensified. Squadrons clashed in synchronized chaos. Energy, beams, plasma pulses, and magnetic torpedoes lit the darkness of space. The Titan danced through the storm, its shields glowing brightly, engines maneuvering with precision impossible for even the most disciplined alien crews to predict. Yet, humanity paid a price. The Titan's hull shuddered as a massive strike landed. Sparks flew across the bridge, systems flickered. Emergency lights bathed the crew in red as alarms signaled damage in the primary engine core. "Damage report!" Ilara's voice cut through the chaos. "Minor hull breaches in sections 4 and 7, core reported. Engine output reduced by 12%. Shields holding at 87%. Ilara's jaw tightened. "Keep them up. Focus on precision strikes. We will not falter now." Below decks, engineers worked tirelessly. Panels sparked, systems hummed and whined, but every human aboard knew their role. Repairs were made while the ship continued to fight. Humanity thrived on challenges, and the crew's determination mirrored the spirit of their entire species. The Varan Emperor, Kael Voran, observed the battle from his throne world, his anger growing. No species had ever defied him with such effectiveness. No species had taken hundreds of his ships and survived. "Increase the firepower," he roared. "Do not let them escape. Annihilate the human." Back on the Titan, Ilara considered her options. Retreat was not an option. To flee would be to send a message of weakness. Humanity had come to prove its place among the stars, and this was the moment to do it. Instead, she ordered a bold maneuver. The Titan would take the fight directly to the Varan squadrons, dividing and conquering where they were strongest. The human strategy worked. Using careful timing, they lured one squadron into a narrow asteroid field, where ships could not maneuver effectively. Railguns and plasma pulses targeted specific points, causing confusion and panic. One by one, enemy ships fell, their energy shields collapsing under the precise and relentless assault. From orbit, minor alien civilizations watched in awe. Worlds that had long been oppressed whispered hope into the void. "If humans can do this," they said quietly, "then perhaps we too can rise." The battle raged for hours. The Varan fleet was vast, yet the humans' combination of skill, creativity, and unity allowed them to endure. The Titan's presence alone became a symbol, a rallying point for freedom. Yet victory was not without cost. Debris from destroyed ships tore through the void. Sensors detected fragments colliding at high velocity, and even a small strike could have destroyed the Titan. Ilara remained calm. She understood the stakes, and she trusted her crew completely. "Focus on defense," she commanded. "Protect the ship and exploit every weakness. Remember, humanity fights not just for survival, but for the right of every being to be free." The Varan, meanwhile, were growing desperate. Admiral Ron's voice came through the communication channels, laced with frustration. "Humanity, you cannot withstand us forever. Surrender, or your species will be destroyed." Ilara smiled faintly as she prepared her next move. "We do not surrender. Humanity stands for more than one ship, one battle, or one planet. We stand for hope." With that, the Titan executed a maneuver that would become legendary. Using its engine's extraordinary power, it performed a high-speed loop around Varan Prime, creating an unpredictable path and drawing enemy fire away from weaker allies. During this maneuver, the humans unleashed a series of targeted strikes, disabling command nodes on multiple enemy ships. Several Varan vessels lost coordination and drifted helplessly in space. The turning point came when the humans targeted a flagship in the middle of the enemy formation. Using both precision railgun fire and plasma torpedoes, they struck simultaneously at structural weak points identified through advanced scanning. The flagship erupted in a cascade of fire and debris, signaling to the entire fleet that humans were not ordinary opponents. Across the galaxy, enslaved races witnessed the event. Their spirits, long broken, felt the first spark of rebellion. If one species could challenge the Varan and survive, then perhaps the Dominion was not invincible. Even among the Varan, doubt crept into the minds of commanders. Rumors spread that humans were not only skilled but fearless, willing to sacrifice for principles that many alien races had forgotten. For centuries, the galaxy had feared the Varan, but now whispers of humanity's courage began to circulate, quietly but persistently. As the battle drew to a close, the Titan remained intact, though battered. Systems required repair and the crew was exhausted, but their morale soared. Humanity had survived the first major confrontation against a galactic empire, alone against overwhelming odds. Alara gathered her crew in the command center. "Today," she said, her voice calm yet commanding, "we have not only survived, we have inspired. The galaxy has seen what humans can do. Remember this moment. Remember that courage, ingenuity, and unity are more powerful than fear. Humanity has taken its first step into the stars, and we will not stop here." The humans began repairing the ship, preparing for the next engagement. The Varan fleet retreated, but the battle had changed everything. Across star systems, hope began to grow. And the galaxy's oppressed species quietly started to believe that change was possible. The Titan, though damaged, glided silently through space. Its black hull reflected the stars, its engines glowing with quiet power. Humanity had arrived in force, and the galaxy would never forget the day fire reigned over Varan Prime. In the silence, after the battle, Alara whispered to herself, looking at the endless stars, "This is only the beginning. The galaxy will know us soon enough." And somewhere in the distant reaches of space, the first sparks of rebellion began to ignite, inspired by a single human warship that refused to yield. The galaxy had changed. The single human warship, UHS Titan, had survived its first great battle against the Varan Dominion, and word of its victory had spread faster than any fleet could travel. Across countless star systems, oppressed worlds whispered its name in hope and fear alike. For centuries, the Dominion had ruled through intimidation, crushing any attempt at resistance. But now, with humans showing that courage and ingenuity could defeat overwhelming odds, the galaxy began to stir. On board the Titan, Captain Alara Voss and her crew monitored communications from countless worlds. Many were encrypted channels used by enslaved races to secretly exchange messages. Systems that had never dared speak now sent urgent signals, asking for help, guidance, or protection. The humans listened patiently, analyzing each plea. Lieutenant Ryan Core turned from the communications array, concern and excitement in equal measure. "Captain, the messages are pouring in. Dozens of worlds want to join us, not just as allies, but as participants in rebellion. They're asking for our support, ships, training, coordination. Some of these civilizations haven't fought openly in centuries." Alara nodded, a determined expression on her face. "We can't fight the entire Dominion alone, but we can show them how to fight, how to organize, and how to protect themselves. Humanity didn't conquer alone. We learned together. Now it's time to teach others to stand." The first step was to build the Coalition of the Free, a united force of species that had long been oppressed. The humans reached out to planets under Dominion control, sending encrypted messages, advice, and, where possible, small teams to train local resistance. On Ryloth 9, a mining world enslaved for its resources, the human instructions arrived in secret. Miners who had labored under brutal conditions for decades whispered among themselves, learning how to use their old equipment in new ways, how to organize patrols, and how to communicate safely. Within weeks, small groups began to act, sabotaging Dominion supply lines and striking where their oppressors least expected. "Do you think it's enough?" a local leader asked, hesitating as he studied a map sent by the humans. A human officer, Lieutenant Mara Chen, smiled faintly. "It's never enough by itself, but combined with courage and determination, it becomes unstoppable. Humanity doesn't fight for victory alone. We fight to give others the chance to win for themselves." Back on the Titan, the humans coordinated more operations. Planets that had long been silent began resisting. Small skirmishes erupted across multiple systems, testing Dominion control and diverting their attention from the humans' next moves. The Varan were furious. Their fleets, once perfectly synchronized, now struggled to respond to the growing chaos. "Captain," Core said, pointing to a map of the galaxy, "the Dominion is spread thin. They're trying to concentrate on our location, but they're losing control over outer systems. This is exactly what we hoped, and more. We're inspiring revolts faster than they can suppress them." Alara studied the map. "This is why we fight strategically, not blindly. Every victory must inspire, every action must empower. The galaxy is not ours to rule. It is ours to protect." The Coalition's rise was not without danger. Some worlds resisted too slowly. Some races mistrusted humanity's intentions, and some, Dominion loyalists, moved to crush uprisings before they could grow. But the humans acted carefully, providing guidance without taking control. The lesson they taught was simple. Courage, ingenuity, and unity could overcome even the mightiest empire. On Sarin Prime, a world rich in energy resources, the humans coordinated a daring operation. Dominion garrisons had fortified the planet for centuries, confident no one would challenge them. Using a combination of human and local knowledge, the rebels launched surprise attacks, disabling weapons arrays and cutting off supply routes. The Dominion fought fiercely, but the humans' tactics allowed the resistance to hold ground. Captain Alara watched the transmissions, her mind sharp. "This is the essence of HFY," she said quietly. "It's not the weapons alone, it's the heart, the intelligence, the refusal to accept oppression." Humanity didn't rise by following fear. We rose by creating hope. The Varan Emperor, Kael Varan, seethed in his throne world. His fleets were stretched thin, his communications infiltrated, and his control over distant worlds slipping. He could not understand how one species, a single warship, could inspire rebellion across the galaxy. "Increase surveillance," he demanded. "Crush the humans before this becomes a plague. No world may rise without my command." But the humans had anticipated this. They avoided direct confrontation with overwhelming Dominion forces. Instead, they acted as mentors and strategists, guiding local populations to take bold actions. Every rebel victory was amplified by intelligence shared from the Titan, every failure analyzed and corrected for the next attempt. Slowly, the coalition of the free grew from a few small uprisings into a network spanning dozens of systems. On board the Titan, morale was high. The humans knew the stakes, but they also understood the power of their actions. "We are doing more than fighting," Alara told her crew. "We are showing the galaxy what courage looks like. The oppressed are learning that freedom is not given, it is taken." Lieutenant Kor nodded. "Captain, reports are coming in from worlds we haven't even contacted directly. They're taking our methods and adapting them on their own. It's remarkable. Humanity's influence is spreading faster than we imagined." Alara's eyes shone with quiet pride, exactly as it should. "We are not invaders. We are teachers. We are guides. And we are humans. That is enough to ignite change." But not all reactions were positive. Some Dominion loyalists began forming militias, hunting rebels and punishing populations suspected of collaborating with humans. These reprisals were brutal, but the humans had foreseen this. Every operation included contingency plans, safe evacuation routes, and emergency communication channels. The humans knew that hope could be fragile, but determination could make it strong. As weeks turned into months, the coalition of the free became more organized. Small rebel fleets coordinated their movements, sharing intelligence, repairing ships, and striking in calculated precision. Humanity's guidance ensured that no single rebellion acted alone. Each became part of a galaxy-wide strategy, a network of resistance that grew stronger every day. In the quiet moments aboard the Titan, Alara reflected on the progress. "The galaxy is waking," she said softly. "Our presence is not just felt in battle, it's felt in every heart that dared hope. That is the true power of humanity." Meanwhile, the Varan Emperor began constructing a secret weapon, a device of unimaginable power designed to suppress entire worlds with a single strike. He had learned that conventional fleets and tactics were insufficient against humans and their growing allies. The galaxy's future would soon hinge on the humans' ability to inspire and unite, not just fight, but Alara was ready. "We will face whatever comes," she told her crew. "Our goal is not to conquer. Our goal is to inspire courage. We fight to protect freedom, and as long as we stand, the oppressed will know they are not alone." Across the galaxy, the whispers of rebellion grew louder. Humans were no longer just a warship in the void. They were symbols, beacons of hope, courage, and resilience. Entire systems began to rise, inspired by the humans who dared to defy an empire alone. From the shadows, enslaved civilizations prepared for the moment when they could act openly. The coalition of the free was no longer an idea. It was a movement, and humanity was its guiding light. And somewhere in the quiet reaches of space, the Titan continued its journey, ever vigilant, ever ready. Humanity had ignited the spark of rebellion, and soon, the galaxy would burn with the fire of freedom. Captain Alara looked out at the stars, her voice barely above a whisper. The galaxy has seen us, and now it will remember humanity forever. The rise of the free worlds had begun. The galaxy held its breath. Every system that had felt the spark of hope from humanity's courage now waited to see how it would unfold. The Varan Emperor, Kael Voran, had unleashed his ultimate weapon, a device capable of annihilating entire star systems in a single strike. Its energy pulses could vaporize planets, and its activation was imminent. From the command center of the UHS Titan, Captain Alara Voss studied the star charts. They had traced the weapon to a massive installation in the orbit of a dying star, a region of intense radiation and gravitational turbulence. The Varan had chosen this location carefully, thinking that no force could survive its defenses. Captain, Lieutenant Ryan Kor reported, the Varan have deployed nearly 2,000 ships around the installation. They are protecting the weapon at all costs. Direct engagement will be catastrophic if we go in without a plan. Alara's gaze was steady. We don't have the luxury of time. That weapon will destroy countless worlds if we do nothing. Humanity doesn't wait for perfection. We act, and we act decisively. Prepare all systems. This will be our final stand. The crew moved with precise coordination. Engineers monitored every energy conduit, ensuring the shields could hold maximum stress. Weapons officers prepared railguns, plasma torpedoes, and guided pulse strikes for precise attacks. Every human aboard knew the risks. Every person understood that survival was uncertain. But victory was imperative. As the Titan approached the installation, the first waves of Varan ships launched an aggressive assault. Energy beams tore across space, tearing through asteroids and debris. The humans responded with ingenuity. Using a combination of decoy drones, kinetic projectiles, and high-speed maneuvers, they disrupted enemy formations. One by one, Varan vessels were disabled or forced to retreat, though the sheer number of the enemy made the battle harrowing. The humans moved closer to the superweapon, weaving through the chaos. Alara knew that destroying the installation would require getting within its core energy field, a feat considered impossible. But the humans had never relied on impossible odds before. Engage the energy dampeners, she ordered. We need to weaken its shields enough to strike the core directly. Lieutenant Kor initiated the procedure. Small energy pulses disrupted the weapon's containment field, creating a temporary window. Core exposed for 30 seconds, Kor reported. Alara's lips pressed into a firm line. It's enough. All power to the forward cannons. Prepare for the final strike. The crew braced as the railguns and plasma torpedoes aligned. In perfect synchronization, they fired. The superweapon shuddered under the assault. Energy fields flared, alarms blared, and the Varan fleet around the installation screamed in panic. But the weapon did not fall immediately. Its defensive measures activated, sending out a massive pulse toward the Titan. Shields groaned under the stress, and systems began to flicker. Sparks flew along the bridge, and the crew gritted their teeth, refusing to panic. We can't hold it for long, shouted Lieutenant Kor. The next pulse will breach shields entirely. Alara's voice was calm, even resolute. Then we finish this now. Helm, full thrust toward the core. All power to engines and weapons. We go together. The Titan surged forward, engines glowing like a comet. Energy beams crashed against its hull, yet the humans held steady. Their railguns and plasma torpedoes struck with perfect timing, hitting weak points in the weapon's structure. The core flickered, sparks erupting across the installation. In a blinding moment, the Titan collided with the superweapon's core. A cascade of energy erupted, lighting up the void with a dazzling display. The explosion was immense, shaking the surrounding fleet, sending debris flying in all directions. For a heartbeat, everything seemed lost. Then, silence. When the light faded, the installation was gone. The superweapon had been destroyed. The Titan was heavily damaged, but it floated in space intact. The crew exhaled collectively, exhaustion mixing with elation. Humanity had survived, and the galaxy had been saved from destruction. Across the surrounding star systems, Varan fleets retreated in disarray. Their supreme weapon destroyed, their command shaken, and their pride wounded, the Dominion was forced to reassess its strategy. The humans had proven that no single weapon, no matter how powerful, could suppress courage and ingenuity. The first cheers came from minor systems that had resisted silently for centuries. Beings long oppressed began to rise, inspired by the Titans' victory. The coalition of the free had grown stronger with every battle, and now it had gained the ultimate symbol of hope, humanity's bravery and determination. Captain Alara addressed her crew, her voice steady and clear. Today, humanity has done more than destroy a weapon. We have shown the galaxy that courage and unity can overcome the greatest challenges. We fight not for domination, but for freedom. Remember this moment, for it is the foundation of everything we will build together. Lieutenant Kor, still recovering from the tension, nodded. Captain, the galaxy is watching. Every world that has resisted oppression will know that freedom is possible. Humanity has set the example. Ilara allowed herself a small smile. That is why we fight, not for glory, not for conquest, but so that every being who dreams of freedom can stand tall and take their place among the stars. Even the Varan Emperor, Kael Voran, could not ignore the impact. Though he survived the battle, the loss of his superweapon, coupled with the rise of widespread rebellion, left him facing an unprecedented threat. The humans had proven that the Dominion was not invincible. Their fear of humanity, once subtle and dismissive, was now real and undeniable. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the coalition of the free celebrated. Worlds that had long been silent began to organize openly. Rebel fleets coordinated attacks, liberated territories, and established communication networks to continue the fight. Humanity's presence had become more than a military advantage. It had become a symbol of courage, hope, and inspiration. On board the Titan, Captain Alara watched the stars. Though the ship was damaged and the crew weary, there was pride in every face she saw. Humanity had faced impossible odds, defied an empire, and emerged victorious. But more importantly, they had ignited a spark that could never be extinguished. Lieutenant Kor approached quietly. Captain, reports indicate that multiple Dominion systems are already negotiating truces or surrendering. Our influence. It's spreading faster than we predicted. Ilara nodded. Good. The galaxy must remember that courage is stronger than fear, that unity is stronger than tyranny. Humanity has given them hope, and that hope will endure long after the battles are over. In the quiet void far from any sun, the Titan drifted, its engines glowing faintly. Systems hummed with power, repairs underway, and the crew worked tirelessly. Though the battle had ended, the war for freedom across the galaxy was far from over. Humanity's journey was just beginning, and yet even in that moment a single thought echoed in the minds of those who had witnessed the events. Humans do not yield. Humans do not falter, and humans never forget. As the crew of the Titan prepared for their next mission, a new signal appeared in the void, a simple, unmistakable message. This is UHS Titan II. Humanity returns. The galaxy smiled, quietly, reverently, and held its breath once more. For in the stars above, courage had found a champion, and the flame of freedom burned brighter than ever.